Thanks very much indeed, Kirsty. I think it's been a fantastic day. It's not finished yet, so I'm going to keep my comments relatively brief. But there are three things I wanted to do, really. The first is this only came about because of so much work behind the scenes. The team have been working sort of relentlessly, throughout the course of a day. Many of you will have seen those. Got fantastic audiovisual support. I think the catering's been absolutely fantastic. So an enormous thank you to everybody involved in really putting this together, first of all. Secondly, just a very few kind of reflections on what we've been hearing today. And we've covered a lot of ground. So we began with that conversation with Lucy. So really trying to understand what the policy opportunity is and the policy ask is. Wearing a hat, initially as the kind of funder who oversaw this, but now somebody who's charged with trying to deliver on what we find, really. We had a great session on PPIE, and I think it's really pleasing to see that the fact that this is genuinely embedded really in all of the consortia and in the RSF. It's not an afterthought. This is genuine. It's not perfect, but there is an appetite, I think, to make this work. So, I think that is really encouraging. We then had a session on what's the state of play of data in the country and how do we leverage these data? And as you can see, there are some really important developments taking place. I think the key thing I took from that was the relationship with CPRD, which many of our consortia are using, but the responsiveness, and this is going to be a sort of a lasting legacy, I think, from the work that's been done. We then went on to think about how do we scale up? And that's a really important consideration, not only in this space, but I think for the country as a whole. A discussion around polypharmacy, again, with the benefits of Tony Avery, so very close links with policymakers. And then this final discussion around, well, what's the future kind of looking like? And really some optimism there, but also some words of caution. I think some really important lessons there. So what do I take from all of this? I think what we have is a fantastic community, and the fact that these are, across the UK, across universities, across disciplines, and the fact that you guys are coming together, working together for that common purpose really lays a fantastic foundation, I think, for looking ahead. I think the relationships are strong. I'm particularly sort of impressed with the relationships with PPI communities, but I think, as you can have seen from the day, that with funders, we've got Mario and colleagues in the room, they've been fantastic sources of support, but I think also emerging with policymakers. And so the conversation I had with Tony, been catching up with him after quite a bit of time, was that I really want some answers that I can begin to translate. Feed me the answers, really. So that, I think, is all important, really good foundations. I think what we need to now try and do, certainly over the course of tonight, tomorrow, are trying to distill some sort of core nuggets that we can actually feed into the policymakers. So are there emerging kind of answers? Yes, they may well need additional validation. They may need to be taken sort of further downstream in terms of kind of evaluative approaches. But what are those nuggets that might be emerging from your consortia? And we don't need a lot of these, one or two per consortia. Thinking more at a meta level, are there questions where we say, well, actually, this is realistically, if there are appropriate sums of money thrown at this, that this is a tractable kind of issue? And yes, a lot of money has been invested, but if you compare with the kind of investments industry is making in this space, these are relatively small amounts of money. So that is, again, something that would be useful. I think, Kirsty, we need to distill some of the kind of progress that we have made around sort of understanding the data, its strengths, its limitations, the work that's gone on around sort of processing, curating data. The kind of shifts that have happened from policymakers and sort of data custodians and TREs in the light of all of this. So I think we do need to sort of do that distillation for the funders. So, I think a lot of progress. Some of the work will begin winding down over the next sort of 12 months or so. And so we need to do that sort of distillation, I think, bearing in mind that this is funding from applied funder. So lots of work, and thank you very much, really, indeed, for everybody for that work. Finally, I just wanted to mention about what happens next. So there are meeting rooms available for consortia that want to meet. I'll just ask any of the RSF team and they can point you to a room. For those of you who are registered for dinner, we will be meeting from 7 o'clock onwards. Some of you will be going back to your rooms before then, but I mean, for those of you going from here, RSF teams will be sort of taking, and we'll be happy to kind of guide you. It's not too far from here, it's Browns. I think that's probably all I had to say. Is there anything I've missed? Yeah, come ahead, Kirsty.
Aziz, please do state. There was one other notice that was an extra one, which is that I think today has gone really, really smoothly. I think we've had amazing food. We've had the sunshine across Manchester has come out. We've had everything has gone really smoothly with a hybrid option. So again, hello and thank you so much to everyone who's joining online. The one snafu that we had was that our courier did not deliver the booklets, the handbooks that we made that contain the abstracts for the posters. It contains a little bio about the speakers. It contains the program, and our team put so much effort into those. And I would like to really encourage you to grab one on the way out. There's two sort of confusions. They arrived just after lunch, so some of you may already have one. They are the same color as last year's, but they are updated. So if you have one at home, I actually use mine regularly in meetings. You sometimes see me flipping through being like, which project is this person working on? So it's very useful. Please do grab one. And there are also some postcards that we've put together. And again, they were also in the box with the courier that was delivered to the hotel, but not to the British Library. So I'm glad about that. And those postcards have information that the data wranglers have created around the synthetic data resources that we've created. There are also PPI resources that are on those postcards. And we have an early career researcher day in Edinburgh that's coming up that we would love for you to tell your teams about and encourage everyone to join. So that's just our last minute. That was, I think, as sort of, hiccups go, that was not the worst one to have happened on a hybrid conference. And we can also ask you to please scan the QR code and give us any and all feedback. I will say that positive feedback is very, very useful for telling the funders about the very positive impact that we have had. And I will also really seriously say that we ran an event last May, in May of 2023, and we learned a lot from the constructive and critical feedback that we received from everyone. We hope we've addressed a lot of it for this event. It does seem to have gone really, really smoothly. So if there are any challenges that you've met, please also make sure that you put that in the form. If there's anything that we can do immediately to make things smoother for you, talk to any of the team. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you.